5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
With that, 2020's over with and 2021 is here. We thought it'd be the perfect time to talk to you about our favorite places to go on New Year's Eve in Europe. Maya, take us there with a punch. We're the Youngs.
We've spent our lives traveling the world.
And in 2018, we moved from
Chicago, Illinois to
Copenhagen, Denmark.
Now we want to share with you
how our new lives abroad
Is keeping us young.
keeping us young.
are helping to keep us young.
It's just past midnight here in Denmark. We came in from watching fireworks. We're so excited to welcome 2021 because 2020 has been awful. But we thought we would sit down and tell you our 5 favorite places we've spent New Year's in Europe.
Starting at number 5 is Barcelona.
Listen, we just love Barcelona. We will go there for absolutely any reason imaginable. We've been a few times. I've got pictures of Maya when she was so little. The first time we went there, I mean, I just love it.
We have friends that live there that we met in Argentina, and one year they invited us out to spend New Year's with them, which we thought was so generous, and we thought, let's do it. It would be so much fun.
We loved seeing them. They're really close friends of ours, and they have 2 little kids, and they were really little at the time. I don't remember too much from it, but I remember thinking it was really fun.
On New Year's Eve, we actually stayed at their place and went up on the roof and watched fireworks that you could see from the top of where they live all the way to downtown Barcelona. So it was pretty cool to be able to be a little bit away from the city because we had a bunch of little kids.
We watched the special on TV that they had on, and we had this great dinner that our friend prepared for us, and we all at midnight, he showed us how they did this thing where at midnight you stuff as many grapes as you can into your mouth, and I think whoever got the most grapes in their mouth won good luck for the rest of the year. So that was kind of an interesting tradition that we got to take part in.
I remember we ate a bunch of grapes right at countdown. I'm sure that there's a meaning behind that, but I don't really know what it is. I just remember the grape eating part.
It was such a great trip because they were still set up for Christmas, and that's where we learned about, I don't even remember what it's called, but basically all these little figurines with people pooping. And that's a Christmas thing in Spain, and we learned about the pooping figurines. So if you don't know about that, please Google Spanish pooping figurines, but that trip is where we learned about that. Super cool time, and it is really a cool place to be, especially when there's celebrations like New Year's going on, because Barcelona is just such a wonderful city.
Number 4 is Venice. I loved our trip to Venice. It was so beautiful. I had never been there before.
Because of it being New Year's, it's close to Christmas, and Venice and Italy is just magical at Christmas time. And we also went to Croatia, actually, Pula, for portions of that trip as well.
And I know at some point during the trip, we even went to go see an opera and some classical music, which we got to dress up all fancy.
Now, I am not a super big New Year's fan because I really don't like being out in the open with a bunch of people during the countdown because I'm always afraid that something really bad is going to happen right at the midnight mark if I'm in a big crowd.
Maya doesn't really like crowds. She's a little freaked out by that, so we kind of stayed at a place where we could escape a little bit.
Be inside St. Mark's Square while they had fireworks and they had people with masks and everybody just dressed up.
And we did get to see the fireworks that were coming up over the Doge's Palace. And it was so great. I mean, it was incredible. It was such an incredible place to be. And it's one of those places where you're like, my God, I'm in Venice on New Year's. This is crazy. So it was just such a fun trip to be there.
Everybody was just like party downtown and watching the fireworks from there. I mean, it's a very magical place anyway, Venice, when you go, but especially at Christmas and New Year's time.
Not really my personal favorite, but it was nice we did get to see some fireworks, and it was right on the water, so it was very pretty being able to see them.
So that was one of the top places I wanted to go, and we were still living in the US at the time, so we had to kind of pick the right place to be, and I think we did, and that's why Venice was number 4 on our list.
Number 3 is Paris. Now, we go to Paris like all the time. I feel like we've been there every single season of the year. I've been there for my fall break, spring break, summer break. We went to Disney Paris a few years back on Christmas Day. But this time we were here for New Year's.
If you don't know this about us, we are Francophiles. I absolutely love France. It's one of my favorite places. Last year we were actually in Nice for Christmas because we were such French fans.
I love walking through Paris, especially at Christmas time because they have their Christmas markets, and it's really, really beautiful to be in Paris in the winter, I think.
And this was in 2015, so it was right after the incidents that had happened there. And so it was really quiet, and the city wasn't holding any fireworks, but I think some people had their own fireworks, so it was nice that we got to go out and see some little things happening here and there. But it felt really safe because there were a lot of police everywhere making sure everything was okay. So I felt really safe there, and that was a really good New Year's because I felt so safe.
There wasn't a ton of activity like normal, but it was super safe, and we watched the New Year's from our hotel, but we were only like 2 blocks from the Arc de Triomphe. So right when it turned midnight, we ran outside and we got to see a lot of just people out having fun. And I think we even ate dinner after that because Paris tends to be open all the time, especially on New Year's.
But that was actually one of the reasons why we wanted to be there, because for us Paris holds such a special place in our heart, and we wanted to be there and say, you know what, we love this city and we're not going to let anybody take anything away from us. So we're going to be here on New Year's.
And it's just special to be there around Christmas time. All the Christmas decorations were still up around the city. So Paris, one of my favorite places, and absolutely cool to go on New Year's Eve.
I don't think I've ever seen Paris so quiet, and it was nice with all these pretty fireworks and the Eiffel Tower lit up and everything. It was a really nice experience.
Number 2 is Copenhagen, Denmark, which is where we live now. Last year, we decided to stick around Copenhagen.
I didn't think any place other than our top one could be as crazy for New Year's. But then we spent New Year's last year in Copenhagen, and you guys are off the hook.
Now, my parents have a different story than me for New Year's because last year they went to Tivoli on New Year's, and I just was with a friend because I didn't want to be in all of that. So my New Year's experience was I was just in my friend's house, and we got to watch the fireworks in his town from out his window.
Miranda and I went to Tivoli and spent New Year's inside Tivoli, which was perfect because you're kind of guarded within the walls of Tivoli, and all the war zone stuff going outside of Tivoli you're protected from, and you can see the fireworks above the town hall from inside Tivoli.
And then we decided to walk out onto the road that leads up to the Rådhuspladsen, and it was like being in a war zone. Like, there were no cars and there were just people everywhere, and everybody had fireworks, and it was like people had a beer in one hand and, you know, Roman candles in the other hand. It
was insane to see all the commotion and the people shooting stuff everywhere. I can't believe what it was like. I didn't really expect it to be quite like that, although my Danish friends warned me.
And we only stayed there, I think, for maybe like 15 or 20 minutes, kind of taking pictures because we were in awe. But then we like scurried away because I was like, this is too much.
And we came home, and they were still setting off fireworks at home even by the time we got home on our street. I mean, Denmark is crazy about fireworks, and you may hear some in the background because they're going on right now.
And it was really crazy. Like, these were some crazy fireworks that these people had. I don't even know how it was legal, but it was really fun just watching all the stuff going on outside. And I got the true Danish experience because I got to watch the Queen's speech and everything. So that was really fun. But I'm sure my parents' New Year's story in Copenhagen is a little more exciting than mine.
It's an intense place to be when it comes to fireworks and New Year's and celebration. And it definitely makes number 2 on our list.
And our number 1 is Berlin. Berlin is the first time I think I have ever experienced a New Year's that I just was overwhelmed by.
We went to Berlin a couple years ago. We were still living in America. Actually, it was the last year that we were in the US. It's right before we moved to Denmark. Good friends of ours met us, and we had just an insane time.
You know, you think, I guess, in America that Times Square is kind of so cool and it's like that's the coolest place to be. Let me tell you, Berlin is crazy.
And it was insane. It was so crazy. We were in a little Airbnb, and We had the windows open, we had a perfect view of the whole city, so we got to stay in our Airbnb at the countdown, which I really appreciated.
I got lucky. I picked this Airbnb that was overlooking the park, which is where all the public fireworks were going to be shot from. And we had all these big, huge windows, and it was perfect because we just moved our couch up to the windows and we just sat there and we didn't have to go anywhere. All the fireworks were like a movie screen outside our windows.
As the night drew on, more and more people were spilling out into the streets and like following this path to get to the park where the Brandenburg Gate was. And while they were going, they were all setting off their own fireworks. And then when it turned to midnight, the whole city just went crazy.
I think I might have died with all of the fireworks that were out there. It was probably a hazard of some sort. There were people everywhere lighting off these crazy things. It was like chaos.
If I ever went back to Berlin, I would go to that exact same Airbnb because it is so perfect, because you get to see and experience all of it, but you're inside. You don't have to deal with the commotion because tons of roads are cut off. The pedestrians and police are moving people around. It'd be super chaotic to try to figure out how to get anywhere. And so it was perfect. A really, really good place to be.
I'd never experienced anything like that, and I'm so glad I did, but I kind of don't know if I want to again.
Number one, Berlin. The Germans know how to celebrate New Year's for sure.
But it was so crazy, but it was really fun getting to see it from inside.
We hope you enjoyed learning our 5 favorite places to spend New Year's in Europe. We always try to travel at New Year's. It's such a cool time to go new places. And we've been a bunch of other places too, but these were our 5 favorite. And they're also specifically picked when I traveled because I heard that they were the best places to go. And I confirm they were super amazing. So here at Travelin' Young, we really appreciate you watching, and we'd love it if you subscribed if you haven't already. We've got a whole bunch of other things that we're working on coming up pretty soon. But please stay tuned, and thank you for watching this, our top 5 favorite places to spend New Year's in Europe.